Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It's August 15th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And if you're looking for the chart lesson yesterday and can't find it, that's because I didn't do one. I took the day off. If you missed Tuesday's video or you didn't listen to the whole thing, you might have missed that I said I was going to be taking the day off most likely. So I did take it off yesterday. I got my mother moved to a new place, and so I'm back in business now. Hopefully so anyway. I hope that's going to be an improvement for her. And um, it's just aging is not a fun thing to deal with your parents. Wouldn't wish this problem I got on anybody, but that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the chart lesson. You can see that we had another huge rally today. Most of, I'd say two-thirds, well, not two-thirds, but at least half of this came in the overnight. And then we kind of went sideways a little bit at the open, and then the last of this rally came from maybe 9 o'clock on this morning. And it wasn't really a super strong rally at that point, but it continued just to work higher, and we closed almost on the high. We're back, believe it or not, we're already back into overbought territory. Um, this thing is turning up now, so it's probably going to creep up as we go higher here. My my guess is we're going to work on a retest of these highs. Um, when we get there, we'll have to see. But I've been saying this all along, and we just keep going higher. And so we'll see. We're probably due for a little consolidation or maybe a correction. So we may see a correction day here tomorrow or Monday. We'll just have to see what the market gives us. So, but anybody thought that there was a market crash going on? I'm not saying it couldn't crash at any minute because there's plenty going on that could cause this market to take a huge fall. Uh, I don't disagree with any of that, but anybody that thought that that was it, that the market crash was here, and it looked pretty bleak for about 3 days there, and we've taken every bit of that back. So we closed higher than we've closed since here. Um, Actually, the last highest close was July 23rd. So we've closed higher than we have since back the third week of July. So this thing's on a tear right now, and my guess is that we're going to retest this high. Will we do it all in one move? I don't think so. It's possible. I don't think so. We'll probably see a correction or some consolidation here to let this thing cool off a little bit, and then it'll probably continue on higher. So that's what the chart says it's probably going to do. Now, will it do that? We'll have to see. Most of the time, it does exactly what you would expect it to, which we're expecting to retest this highs. How it's going to get there, we don't know that for sure. We just have to kind of watch the price action and go with it. But you can see very bullish day. Let's flip over to the 2,000 tick chart, and you can kind of see what this day looked like. And here it is. We didn't get two measured legs up, but we had this big leg that happened during the overnight. Just remember, it's easy to move the market, or I shouldn't say easy, but it's easier to move the market during the overnight because there's not a lot of volume then, and so a good bit of buying by somebody that has deep pockets can move the market. And you can see we moved it up into well into 7 o'clock, and then it corrects here. And it really looks like a two-legged correction, so you'd think we might get a measured move. Now, we end up just going to kind of working sideways a little bit, but then it breaks out, and you get another trend up here. And you get a break here, and it just keeps chopping higher until it finally turns off here well after 2:30. So then we actually continued to push back up again and really closed almost on the high of the day. So nice move today. Not a lot of trades here, but there's some good ones. There's enough that you can find you some trades today. But let's zoom out and we'll go through the trades. There was a news item, high volatility news item around 7:30, so you had to be flat for that. So you couldn't trade here. So this was the first move back to the main trend line, which confirms it as well. I marked this green. You're well away from the EMA. It looks a little sideways now. It is obvious this is a strong trend. So a good signal bar back to the back to the trend line, and you probably want to take it. So there's a hidden second entry in there. I don't think it actually breaks higher there, but you can see it's moved back up, back up. And that's what you see when you're in a strong trend, and look at it take off. So this is a little more advanced. Most of you probably won't want to take this. I marked it green, but there it is. And then we get this correction. We get our first break, and you clearly get two legs back, and you get a first or a second entry right here, but that you can't trade that. You could have traded on this one, but notice it doesn't break higher, and then it drops back down, and it's kind of just probing that support area. And notice you finally get a test here, then you get a test here, and you go higher, and you come back and you test it again. So that's a triple test. You have your break and a new low here, and it tried to go multiple low or multiple area at times. Fairly small bar for a strong day like this. I like going long there. And that's a nice, quick, easy move. And if you catch that, you probably catch a runner, and that's probably all you need for the day. I mean, there's a good 12 points there. So if you get a runner and you just get 9 or 10 of those points, maybe that's all you need, depending on what your targets are and what your goals are. And then, of course, now you had your break and a new high, and then you get a triple test here with a second entry short. I like going short there. There's a lower high here, but you're still all above the EMA and not a very good signal bar, so you can't take that. I did not mark this one because we do have a break and a new low, but this doesn't look like rejection. It looks like we're just kind of chopping sideways. It's a possibility. It is a triple test. I like to see a little more space in between them than that, so it doesn't look like congestion, which that does. So if you'd had a good signal bar here, maybe here. But I'm just not crazy about that. But you could take that when it breaks above there. It meets our criteria. If you want to take it, it works. So no big runners or anything. And you do get a reversal here, but it's I'm sorry, a higher low right here. But it's right into these highs, and it's just basically a higher low is what I would call that. And I don't think it's a great one because it's right into those highs, and it still looks a little congested across there. But it pushes up, pulls back, and it gives you a failure right there, which after a triple, quadruple test and then a failure, you're probably going to go higher. And it does confirm this trend line right here. The only problem is it's right in the middle of a range. Actually, at this point, it was close to the highs of the range because I had the highs down here, but there was enough room to get out, so maybe you take that trade. And I think that was another reason I didn't like these, because this was kind of the middle of the range at that point, right in here. Let me just move it down and I'll show that to you. I ended up adjusting this later, but early on this was like so. And you can see that's right into the midline, and then this one's above it. So, and there's plenty of room to get out. I still mark this green for because I'm just not crazy about it, but I think the range ended up, in the end, this was just a midpoint. So maybe you take that one. Turns out to be a nice move up. Then you close outside, new high, and it just sells off. I didn't mark this one either because it's just kind of in no man's land here. You do have a break in new high, but sometimes you get two legs, but we're way away from the EMA, so it's another one. If you want to be a little aggressive, maybe you take that. I think you're better off to wait. It turns out to be a great move, so if you took it, now that's one thing I'll say. When you are more aggressive, you tend to get bigger rewards, but you'll have more losers. So it's a trade-off. So unless you're a really profitable trader that's doing really well and you're making money pretty much daily, then you don't want to take these aggressive trades. You probably want to wait on sure things. So just keep that in mind. But then we get another quadruple test. You could easily call this a 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even a fifth test. The signal bar is close to, does that close in the upper 1/3? I think it does. I think it's not the perfect signal bar, but still, and you get this little bit of a break lower that probably ran some stops down here and trapped in some longs, or I'm sorry, some shorts that are going to have to exit if this thing goes higher. So I like going long right there. I always talk about these failed break lower or higher turn out to be important lows or high. Well, look at that low for the day. If you catch that move, you might ride this thing all the way to the highs, or at least all the way to this major correction, or at least to the high of the range. Either way, it's a pretty good move. If you just go the high of the range, it's 16 points. You could have got the majority of that. If you held on to this correction, then it's, it's 25 points. And if you manage to hold on through this big correction, I doubt seriously you would want to hold through this correction, but if you just hold on to that one, it's 35 points. It's a fairly nice move. So I tell you, I like these setups. If you're going to be aggressive, I don't even really consider that aggressive since it closed so far inside the range, and it just takes off. But anyway, runs to the top. I don't see anything else in here I really like. This is too congested, just a first entry, and then you're too close to the highs here. There's another one of those first entry, second entries. It is a repeat pattern of the one we saw right there. Somewhat looks like that. It's a little different context though, so it's hard to call it a repeat pattern, but it is a second entry that with room to the highs, but your highs were here at that point, so I think you just have to skip over that. You pretty much confirm that trend line here, but you can see you're not getting above the highs here well, this actually made a new high here, and this is where I ended up marking this, where you get the most touches across there. But anyway, actually I had this lower before, so something looks different. I was working it off at those highs, and we end up, actually I think I worked it right off. We got a higher close right there. Let's see, do we get a touch right there? Is that where I had this thing? I don't know, I'm a little confused now. That's the problem with moving it sometimes. I think I had it, I must have had it right there. And we end up pushing through here, and you get a 2 legs back with a second entry long right here. I wasn't crazy about that one. It does break lower right there, as you can see. Let me zoom in here a little bit. That may be still hard to see. You can see it breaks lower below that bar, so it serves as somewhat of a trap. But you've easily got a triple test there, and it was a second entry long when it broke above that bar. You have to wait for this to close, and I still think it closes in its upper third. It's close. I marked it green because it's not a perfect signal bar, but I still think you might consider going long there. And we take off again. We're just working sideways here. What you have is this big blue channel, but you also have a secondary channel inside here. So hopefully you can see that. We're working sideways. I don't think you want to try going short here. You break out of that and come down, and you bounce right off the trend line, and it pretty much confirms it because you've already got 2 swings right there, but those are kind of close together, so this just further confirms it. You can see prices turning right off that trend line. And so I like going long. I don't like going long on that first one, but when it comes back and gives you the higher low, I like going long there right off the trend line. And this thing takes on off again, and then you get 2 legs back to the trend line again, and second entry long right off the EMA and the trend line. That's a good setup. Too much resistance across here. Runs on up, and it turns down right off the upper blue trend line, and it starts trending lower. But yeah, I wouldn't go short yet. Wait till it gets back to this trend line. Let's see what we got. And we do get a break here at this point. It quickly gets back inside and then it comes back out again. I don't see anything yet here. There is a second entry long here, but the signal bar is no good. But you suddenly get a reversal here, or a failure, which is probably going to trap people, and you're back inside that trend line again. It's just a first entry. It's normally I like to see this is what you call a reversal continuation pattern. It happens at the trend line. Normally I like to see it before the trend line has a break. But since you're back inside and it closes above and it is going to tend to trap people. You can see by that big bar right there, it trapped some shorts and they all have to exit. So I like that one. It's a little aggressive even for a trap, so I marked it green. Or I should say it's a little more advanced really. It's not really that aggressive. It's a little aggressive for that type of trade, but it's very advanced trade. And I say this all the time, and then somebody will send me their chart and they take a reversal and they're completely off the mark. There's a reason I don't teach these in the manual. They're very difficult. They're very advanced. Unless you're a consistently profitable trader, you shouldn't be taking these trades. So just skip over these if not, and let them come to you organically. They'll make perfect sense when you're experienced and you start to see them and learn them naturally, rather than trying to practice them. They're very difficult. You have to know where they occur and where they don't occur, and just leave them alone. Trust me. If you're not a profitable trader, leave them alone. So anyway, turns out to be a nice trap. These are all just first entries. This is again a real strong move up. You get your break, new high. It looks like we're going to correct, and we just kind of keep chopping higher, and it turns out we get another trend line. We confirm it here, and then we get a break right after. But you can see the support here, and it's really probably this trend line and this support line. So prices are bouncing off this, and we get at least a triple test there with a nice signal bar. I like going long again. And you would expect a new high on this flatter channel, and you've already had one on this one to break a new high. But then you can see this, I forget what you call that color. Cyan, or is it cayenne? I can't even remember how you pronounce it, but anyway, I think it's cyan. And but there's a triple test there. You're back inside. You expect prices to make a new high. I like going long there, and that takes you on into 230. I don't see anything else here. We're still bouncing off that trend line, but you've already had a break, and by here a couple of legs up. Now it could still continue to push up a little bit, but then suddenly you can see it turns and sells off, but we still end up recovering some of that, testing these highs again before it's over. So there it is. Not a lot of trades today. Not a lot of, the volume's down a little bit even though that's a nice move from here to here, it's real methodical, and we're steadily going higher except for this correction here. But it's still a steady move higher, and it's a clear channel up through there. Couple of different ones. So pretty good trading day. Again, I think that we're going to continue to push in higher. I think we're overdue for a correction or a consolidation day at least. So don't be surprised if we get that tomorrow or Monday. But as long as it's going higher, keep going with it. When it sells off, then we'll go with it. You have to do some amount of, I wouldn't say guessing, but guess of trying to understand where prices are going, because we're chart readers. So we're trying to understand what prices are doing and where they're heading. But you always want what the prices are doing to confirm what you're seeing. So don't trade what you think unless the price action confirms that. So it's not what you think, it's what you see. And I know that gets a little confusing because we are chart readers and we're trying to kind of guess where prices are going by what the prices are telling us. But it's a fine line. So because sometimes you'll be wrong on what you're thinking. And even if you know where prices are going, you don't know exactly how they're going to get there. So you can get tripped up sometimes. So just follow the price action. Make sure it confirms what you're seeing, and that your entries are at key entry points. What are key entry points? I say this all the time, and I'll say it again. Trend lines, either up or down. The EMA is a minor key entry point, and then the support and resistance of a range is a key entry point. So the only difference between this line on the trend line and this line on the support line is one of them is horizontal and one of them is angled. And you can get all different kind of angles on a trend line. But that's the only difference. There's still support and resistant lines. Support, resistance, support, resistance. Same thing on this cyan. Support, resistance, support, resistance. Same thing on this green one. Support, resistance. And you see it all the way up. Same thing here. Support, resistance, minor support, resistance, key entry point. And the EMA is a minor key entry point of support and resistance. When it's pointed up, for the most part, like it is here, we're in an uptrend. When it's pointed down, we're in a downtrend. So keep those ideas in mind, and that's how you kind of help the basics of where you enter and standing on the right side. And so follow the rules. Anyway, that's going to do it for today. I'm going to wrap it up. No chart listed tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. I'll be leaving early tomorrow at noon. So I won't be back till Monday, but I'll see you on Monday. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.